Welcome to So Very Easy. My name is Laura. Sunshine and lemons go together beautifully. I love a big bowl of fresh lemons on my table, but I can't always have a bowl of lemons sitting on my table. So I found something that is going to replace that bowl of lemons. And Hello Sunshine is going to be my tabletop replacement. This laser cut kit is designed for a big 24-inch square. I get to choose my background fabric, but all of those little pieces have been fused and pre-cut, ready to go. And having them laser cut means all of those edges are crisp. I do not have to do any tracing. I just can start working on this. And being able to choose my own background fabric means I don't always have to follow the directions. The shapes have already been cut out and have that fusible backing already on. And I get a full-size 24-inch template. There are some shapes that have been fused on one large paper, such as the little insides for the lemons, and all of the letters are also on that one page. The fabric pieces are very easy to come off. There's only a tiny little thread that holds those pieces on. And our little snips will be able to just get in and snip that thread for that piece to come out. But I'm only going to take those pieces out as I need them. So the first thing I need to do is prepare my fabric. I've chosen a nice crisp white background fabric. The design is designed for a 24-inch square, but I do want it bigger than the 24 inches. I like to put the applique on, stitch it, and then trim it down after. I want to work on a surface that I can iron on. I do have a portable iron mat, and it's from Clover. It's a very large and thick surface that I can iron right over top. I wouldn't iron over top of my dining room table, but my work surface will be just fine. If your ironing board is big enough, you can use that. So my fabric is pressed and ready to go. And I'm going to take that layout page and put it underneath my fabric. If you have a light colored fabric, you're going to be able to see right through it. So I'm going to lay that over top, matching up my placement so I know that it's centered the way I want it. From here, I'm going to be able to start putting my applique shapes on. If you're not able to see through your fabric, you're going to be able to use some pins as some markings. So I'm going to roll my fabric back until I get to an area that I can put a pin. I can peek that pin underneath and I can see that that pinpoint is coming out right in an area that I want. So I can poke that pin right through the fabric and the paper and that thick pressing surface. Little by little, I'm going to be able to roll that fabric and place pins going right through all of the surfaces. And as I'm rolling it, I'm going to be able to check those pin placements. I now have that pin as my shape, and those pins give me my placement points for the things that I cannot see very clear under the fabric. The ones that I can see, I can lay down the shapes where they're supposed to be. Because I was able to choose my own background fabric, it means I can change the layout. So this is a good opportunity to try some different layouts. If you do not want a big square and you'd rather a long table runner, you can do some little adjustments, still keeping that same theme, and make it long and thin. We can still put those words in the center, or we can change the positions of the words. I can do some lemons in the corners and make it long with the words going down the center in another angle. With these already pre-cut for us, it's fun to try some different layouts and some different sizes. And you can do that even before you cut your fabric. For myself, I want to keep a big 24-inch square, and then I want to add a big border on it. When we look closely at the pattern, we have these great lemon halves. The lemon wedge is built with 3 layers. I have my bottom, that inside piece, and then those little wedges that will go inside. I'm going to identify the pieces first. And this is when I'm going to take time and snip those little pieces out. And that way the pieces are coming as I need them. Just a little snip of those threads and those pieces are going to come off. And just place those pieces on top of the pattern. And that way I know I have the right pieces for the right lemon. Once I have those pieces identified, I'm going to fuse them on the first layer. I'm going to leave the paper onto that white circle, but I'm going to take the paper off of the yellow wedges. Sometimes if you just wrinkle them a little bit this way, the paper will loosen. If not, you can just take a pin and on the paper side, just run that pin along the paper. It's going to put a little cut in that paper, and that's going to help you grab that paper and peel it off. And I'm going to place that on. I'm going to continue scoring the back of that paper and removing the paper from all of my lemon wedges. And I'm just going to transfer them over. I've stuck a pin right through my pressing surface just to temporarily hold those pieces on. The paper back is off of the yellow piece, but the paper's still on to the white piece. For that first pressing, all I'm going to do is just secure some of those pieces down. And I'm not putting a lot of time into pressing those. I just want to hold them down. Now I can remove a couple of pins at a time. And just do another little pressing. I'm not pressing the recommended time because I just want to hold those pieces down. And I'm going to work a little bit as I go around. It is probably less than a second that I'm putting that iron down. We're going to do the final pressing when all of those pieces are together. I just want those pieces to stay on so that I can work with it. So the paper, the white is still on, but those yellow pieces are now stuck on. Now I can remove this back paper. From here, I can put it onto the top of my lemon and do another quick press. So the paper is still on the back of the lemons. My lemon piece is now ready to go. I still have that paper on the back. Once my pieces are ready and I know the placement, I'm going to start closest to me and work towards the back. And that way the appliques are not going to shift. And I'm only going to do a light pressing. Take the paper off of your applique shapes and then just gently press those on. I'm doing as little as possible. I'm going to do the big pressing when I'm finished the entire top. So with a quick tap, I'm going to fuse those on. And I'm going to be able to work as I go down. Now that all my pieces are temporarily put on, I'm going to be able to remove my pattern piece. And if I'm at the iron, I can now give it its final pressing. The directions do recommend a cotton, no steam heat. We need to press each section down anywhere between 5 to 8 seconds. I would start with 5 because we already have given it a bit of a tap. So we're going to hold that iron down for 5 seconds, pick it up, and put the iron down. We're going to do this to all of the applique pieces. So each piece is only going to be pressed for 5 seconds. Overpressing is not going to make it stick more. If you're at an ironing board, you're going to be able to do it right there. If not, I'm going to be able to pick up my big pressing surface, bring it right to the iron, and press. All of those pieces now are very secure. Now that top is ready for me to work on. So I'm going to take time and stitch all the way around my shapes. To applique the shapes down, there are a couple of machine stitches that you can use. If we have the shape, what we want to do is stitch into the shape. We can do a zigzag that's going to run along the edge. We can also use a blanket stitch, which does one stitch, then over, comes back on itself and back. And this is how that stitch works. There's also a stitch that has your straight edge, and it comes up and down into a triangular shape. So you're having these little triangle shapes all the way around. There's also a stitch that runs along the side, comes up, and runs along the side and back down. So it's making these little boxes all the way as you are stitching. So what we're looking for is any stitch that's going to run along the edge and then catch inside. On my Bernina 790, I'm using stitch 1329. The stitch width I've changed to a small 2, and the length I've shortened a little bit to a 2.4. That's given me a smaller stitch going both ways. And I'm also using foot number 23. It has a little channel that I like to follow. For this project, I do like to use the Schmetz Microtex Chrome Needle 68. So it stitches along the edge and then stitches in. Do one stitch on the side, one stitch over. And when you use matching thread, it has a really nice finish. That little blanket stitch around the appliques really give the appliques a lot of dimension. Once all of those shapes have been stitched down, we're going to be able to give it a good press. From here, we're going to be able to do different things with it. This can be the center of a quilt, so you can add blocks all the way around. You can add edges on it and make it a long table runner. But in my case, I'm going to add a big 6-inch border. This big block is going to be trimmed down to 24 inches. And then I can put on these big 6-inch borders. With this nice big border on, I'm done the quilt top. It has been a fun quilt to make. I love the fact that all of these applique pieces were cut out for me. I didn't have to worry about finding the right yellows or the right greens. I was just able to put those on my own background and add from there. This is going to look great on my table when it's quilted with a nice big bowl of fresh lemons. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check the kit out. And thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe, and as always, come on back. Let's see what we're sewing next time in the sewing room. Bye for now.